What's going on, y'all? It's Xavier here, and I'm here with this amazing guy, Nick Tucker. Period. Period.
Not you doing that, bro. Chill.
No, I'm joking. Nick Tucker. Period.
Come on.
Lowercase.
Come on.
As you say, man, he's got some music that's been coming out, and I hope y'all have been blessed to it by listening to it. But if you have not listened to it yet, man, y'all need to go check out Nick Tucker, man.
Come on.
He's got some fire out there, some good Christian rap, man. And we're just here to learn more about you and your music, what you got going on. So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
First of all, what's up, y'all? Glad y'all tapping in. Glad y'all tuning in. Nick Tucker, a.k.a. Nicholas Tucker. You know, I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte.
Come on. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? From the suburbs of Charlotte, North Carolina. From Charlotte, ended up going to school actually in the area that I live right now, you know, Harrisonburg, Virginia.
All right.
So met the Lord while I was in college.
What's up?
And ever since then, it's been up from there, you know. So he changed my life. And now, I'm saying, after a couple years of not really knowing what's going on with my life and everything and kind of being confused of like, you know, what direction am I moving in? Earlier this year, actually, the Lord, you know, prompted me to write a song. You know, I've been around rap, you know, I've freestyled, you know, for a long time and everything. And finally, it was just, you know, I feel like it just all kind of aligned. You know, it was just time to, you know, start like using that poetry, you know, and using that gifting and you know, actually put it in musical form. I love music, but, you know, I always knew that there was a musical side to me, you know, but now it's like you're actually seeing the fruition of that. So, yeah, man.
Man, that's real. You know, want you to dive deeper into it because I remember when I was younger, everyone would say, you know, I want to be like this. I want to be like that. You know, you have that person or that position or that title you want to ultimately be or have later in life, but sometimes you really don't understand the story behind it, the story of what took that person to get where they are. So I want you to talk a little bit about your story in terms of really how you came to know Christ and why it's so important for you now to dedicate your gift of music to glorifying God.
Honestly, for me, so since I was a young kid, you know, I started playing soccer when I was younger, and soccer was kind of like my main focus.
Football.
Hey, that football. You know what I'm saying? Put that little accent on top.
Football. Sorry, American soccer.
Yeah, whatever they call it around here. Nah, but yeah, man. So like, you know what I'm saying, playing the game of soccer, you know, since I was a young kid, and that was like pretty much where I found most of my worth, you know, and identity. You know, I would say from a young age, I didn't necessarily fit in, or maybe it was just the assumption that I didn't fit in. You know, I just felt like I didn't really adapt to, you know, what was going on around me, and just the people, you know, I guess didn't rock with me as, you know, heavily as I wish. But from a young age, man, I had this family in the neighborhood actually. Before my dad actually got saved, there was a family in the neighborhood that introduced the name of Jesus to me, you know, from a young age. I was just like, man, they're a really kind family, really nice family. And, you know, I really do consider them like, you know what I'm saying, like family, like almost blood family. And, you know, which they are, you know, because bought by the blood. Come on, somebody.
Come on, man. Come on now.
That concept of Jesus, you know, was there. I was like, man, I didn't even know they were like doing devotionals at the dinner table. I'm like, I don't even know what devotionals are. Like, what is this? And so I had a concept of Jesus, and I went to a Christian preschool. So there was, you know what I'm saying, there was that concept, and God's name was being thrown around, you know, but it didn't. So basically soccer was kind of what drove me, and, you know, was saying the wave that I rode all the way into college. And, you know, with the insecurities that I dealt with, you know, of not necessarily fitting in or having the friend groups that I, you know, thought or desired to have, you know, soccer was the one thing that was consistent that kept me going. You know, my dad got saved, but I would say that even though I went to church, I didn't really have a relationship with Jesus. So for me, it was like soccer was that thing that was going to, you know, get me out there and everything. And so when I got recruited to play in college, you know, those at the D3 level, I was like, I'm going to take this opportunity. So I had a couple options. I had Washington and Lee, University of Lynchburg, and Eastern Mennonite University were my three options. You know, my senior year was like when I decided, I was like, yeah, I'm going to commit to playing soccer. So I went to EMU, some random school in, you know, the middle of.
Came to Harrisonburg, Virginia.
Harrisonburg, bro. I'm like, what? Never heard of it.
Came to Harrisonburg.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
I'm like, why
that's all good, man.
We in the 540 now. So I'm here, you know, and of course, James Madison University is here. You know, and for me, I think the reason why I like music and preaching the gospel through music is so huge is that when I was in college, because of the insecurity I dealt with when I was a kid, I wanted to do anything to fit in. So I started hanging around the wrong crowd. Basically would do anything just to, like, have friendships and, gain status. And so I, definitely started partying and, wilding out and drinking like, there was no tomorrow,
Yeah.
and just going crazy. So for me, I got the experience of the big school partying at JMU while I was still going to this Christian university, at EMU.
Yeah.
So for me, I actually, it was kind of a double-edged year for me, my junior year. First semester was probably the craziest, wildest, but lowest moment for me in terms of just really feeling like, man, you've let yourself go too far. Like, it was like, I could just tell this is not who I was made to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, all that I was doing, I was like, this is not, when I think about who Nick is, this is not him. And, basically I ended up having some, physical health complications. I was expected to have a hip surgery early of my second semester of my junior year. And when I was home, man, like, that was like a total reflection of just everything that had been going on in my life. Like, me being home for 2 months and being with my family, again, and my dad basically asking me all these questions about my life. And it felt like God was directly talking to me because basically, like, son, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, you've been running out here, going and basically, in the mud with the pigs, you've been doing all this stuff. It's time for you to come home, And so that time was huge for me. And around this time, I started getting connected around this campus ministry and stuff like that. So while I was home, with the hip surgery, I basically was like, I knew that I needed to, like, be around some form of community like that. Yeah. And folks that were part of that ministry, it's Every Nation Campus, ENC, they actually, they were praying for me while I was at home. They didn't even know me, and they were praying for me, checking up on me. I was like, wow, this is huge. So when I came back, I actually, had a, really transformative, almost rededication. I might have claimed that I, gave my life to Christ when I was younger, but like an actual rededication where it's like, Jesus, like, I really need you to come in and change my heart because I can't do this.
Need him for yourself.
Yeah.
Believe in him yourself. Like, it's that moment where deep down the inside, like, I cannot make it another day without you. Yeah. And I'm not saying that because my mama told me to, or my dad told me to, or I've got this grandmother that's been in the prayer closet for 40, 50, 60 years. Facts. Like, I need you because I need you. Yeah. Right. Man, you've got an amazing story. And even like some of the stories behind your music is so powerful. Just your creativity and the way you really go about talking about your music and just sharing it. Like, just tell me about the creative process of how you kind of came up with what you've got right now. Yeah, honestly. So my first song that came out, the first single that came out. So I've recorded some other songs before that and everything. I actually went to this camp this summer and it was hilarious because the way that it all worked out, like, I started writing, like, actually legitimately sitting down and saying, I'm going to write music, like, actually taking myself seriously with it, like, back in March. Right. So it's early this year, so me dropping singles already this year is crazy. Not even on SoundCloud. I'm talking like, actually out to the public, all platforms is crazy. I was at this camp this summer. It was a Christian sports camp, and I was working as the videographer. First dude I met there was a Christian rapper. Wow. Right. That was working with me on staff there. So I was like, man, this is cool. My boy Clarence Fields Jr. Shout out to him. Hey, shout out to you, dog. So I met him, and this was honestly like another sign where I was like, all right, God, like, this is cool. Like, I can see that you're opening doors with this and helping me make connections. And so when we were there, it was funny because we were like freestyling, rapping at the lunch table one day. Yeah. And the CEO of the camp, Timotheus Pope, shout out to him as well. Shout out to you, dog. Come on. He actually came over and he heard us rapping. And he's like, man, he's like, y'all are tight. He's like, if you ever want to record something, he's like, I got a recording equipment at my crib. Wow. He's like, y'all can come record. I can set it up in a closet, a broom closet, or a chair closet. Yeah. And y'all can record this stuff. Even in the prayer closet. Better talk. That secret place. Amen. So I'm just like, man, so when I thought about everything that's kind of just happened in my life and just these little things, I'm saying? I'm like, God, you don't need to do that. Like, you don't need to show up even in the little things. And he showed up in big ways for me. The fact that I'm not anywhere else and I'm not in some rehab center or I'm not, in different places that I should be. The fact that I'm still sitting here clothed in my right mind is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, for me, the first song that I wrote,
I actually linked up. This is gonna be another shout out, man, because my boy Miles Fiatzi, he actually produced my first track, and I know him through ENC, you know, the campus ministry, but he's with a different chapter. You know, I had found out that he was making beats, and I'm like, cool. So we actually ended up, I was on a trip down to South Carolina. He lives in North Carolina. And so when I was on the way back up, I said, bro,
I'm about to make a pit stop.
We're about to, what are we doing? So we talked about it, and we got together, and immediately when he played, he was basically like, I'm gonna make you a beat from scratch. And I just want you to, you know, just ride on it. I want you to slide on it, you know, do whatever you need to do on it. Yeah. And I was like, you know what I'm saying? Let's let the spirit move. And the song idea was to write a song about my testimony. It was to talk about, you know, maybe it didn't share every single little detail, but it gave an overarching picture of like, I wanted to be like, look, this song is going to be a reminder to myself. No, first of all, the thing about music to me is that it ministers to me first before it ministers to anyone else. Yeah. Like that's what I'm excited about, is the fact that if you hear a song from me, it most likely is a song that I've literally, the Lord and me have been using in the secret place in order to minister to me first for a healing process. So for me, testimony is reminding myself of my testimony when I say, oh, my testimony isn't impactful enough, or my testimony is not, you know what I'm saying, it's not like that. Like, Lord, you didn't actually bring me through that much. Or I lie to myself and say, you know, why do I need Jesus? Then I look back and I'm like, nah, I actually need him desperately, because all these things in that song point back to, wow, like I was lost, broken, you know what I'm saying, and confused. I was stuck. So yeah, when it comes to music, man, like honestly, one thing I told myself is I could never do music and not be authentic in it. Yeah. Like I could never talk about something, you know what I'm saying, like exaggerate it or talk, you know what I'm saying, or make it less than it seems. Yeah. It's like, I want to be authentic about where I'm at, where I've come from, you know, everything. You know what I'm saying? A lot of rap sometimes, you know, there's a lot of cap, you know what I'm saying, in the rap. There's a lot of people talking about lifestyles that maybe they don't actually live. Like for me, I'm a white kid from the suburbs. Like I didn't grow up like Eminem, you know, on 8 Mile, you know, in Detroit. Like I have a different story, but rap is something that shaped me from a young age. So for me to kind of like be able to, I guess give, you know, saying my flowers back in a certain way where it's like, let me glorify God through this, but also be authentic to who I am and what shaped me, you know, is huge. So music is a huge part, you know, of just me telling my story.
And it's also interesting too, because it's like, as you were saying, you know, rap and hip hop influenced you. But it's one thing when, you know, like you were saying, there's some of these people that are speaking about lifestyles that, one, they may not live up to, two, that may not be godly, three, that, you know, pushes people further into sin. But now this thing that has influenced you, you have kind of switched it and use it as an influencer. Yeah. To then be able to get people to understand, like you were saying, your testimony and bring them closer to Christ. So, of course, the first song that you released was
Testimony.
Testimony, man.
Had to let them know.
Tell us about some of the other music you done dropped soon. Or recently, not soon.
Recently.
You've got some coming out soon.
Hey.
We'll get to that.
And they got to tune in. They got to stay tuned. So I actually dropped a second song called Doubt. And I really like Doubt, because I think it's very interesting. I think the way that one was probably one of my favorite songs artistically to write, because I'm basically, you know, I've dealt with a lot of doubt and disbelief. I'm a overthinker, you know, and I'm a, you know, and I'm not saying that God is not logical, but he lives outside of our understanding scientifically and logically in terms of how he operates, because, you know, that's just who he is. You know what I'm saying? He created the system that we live in. So for me, a lot of times I struggle with some doubt and some fear in certain areas, and that doesn't necessarily push me away from, you know, Jesus. It actually pushes me closer to him in those moments. And that's what that song was actually, you know, kind of talking about, was doubt is speaking to me as if it's a person. Yeah. Right. And so my doubt is speaking to me and saying, you know, basically like, I'm going to let depression sneak in. I'm going to, you know, basically we're going to let the lies in. We're going to let all these different things in, so that, you know that, you know, when you're down, like when I'm feeling down, the doubt is up to something. Yeah. Like doubt is, you know, he's talking to me and he's chatting. Yeah. And the whole point of the song is me saying, nah, I actually come back and I'm like, what's up, doubt? Like basically saying, I know the truth about what Jesus says. Yeah. About doubt and disbelief. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm speaking against it. So that one was a really cool song. I really like that one.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely creatively well done. I mean, like just the way your ability to be able to communicate something like that and put an artistic flair on it that many people, like, it takes people to not just listen to the song the first time and be like, oh, I'm gonna go support my boy Nick. Got this song. Like you gotta actually sit with that one for a little bit. You know,
let it marinate.
You gotta let that one marinate for a little bit. I'm interested too. You know, before we get into some of this, you know, music you got coming out, you did a post about your artist name. And it's one thing to post it out, people read.
Yeah.
Let's hear it from your mouth directly. Like, how did that come about, and what's the significance of it for you?
It's actually funny because in my phone, like probably maybe a year and a half ago, I randomly started liking this aesthetic where I don't really use capital letters at all.
Yeah.
But it was weird because in my mind, the only letters that I would capitalize are the names for God.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's almost like I'm not necessarily making people feel unimportant or making myself feel unimportant, but it's really emphasizing like God's omnipotence and his power and where he sits in terms of the hierarchy. Of like he is the God who created this world. And it's interesting because I started with that aesthetic. And then once I started with that, it was like, for some reason, it just stuck. And when it came to my artist name, I was like, well, I already have it in my phone. I was like, why don't I keep it that way and everything? Because people are going to be expecting a capital letter. They're going to be expecting something, you know, saying that's just normal. And I was like, you know what? It's going to be Nick Tucker, period. It was funny because when I put the period, I really didn't know why I did that. Mm-hmm. And then I sat with it for a while. I was praying on it, and I realized I was like, the period means it's Nick Tucker, period. Like, because I dealt with so much trying to be a chameleon and adaptation to all these people to basically try to fit in, I was like, well, I'm not going to be less because people think I'm too much. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to be too much because I'm trying to belittle myself. You know what I'm saying? Or not belittle myself. I'm not going to be too much because I'm trying to fit into their standards or fit into what they want me to be. Right. Yeah. And everything. Like, I'm going to be the man who God called me to be. Nick Tucker, period. God, I want to be that. I want to be that dude.
Who you call me to be.
Who do you, exactly? Yeah. Because I'm still figuring out every day who he's calling me to be.
Because, you know, one of the most common scriptures people say in the Bible, from the Bible all the time, is that he knows the plans he has for us. And so if he already knows those plans have already been communicated and already have been predestined, and you know that who you are is who you are. There's no need for you to be anybody outside of what God has called you to be.
I'm trying to say, bro.
Right? What's for you is for you.
Exactly.
If you've got to go and wear these clothes too tight just so you can be liked, you outside of the will.
That's what
If you feel like you got to go out here and you got to smoke this and drink this just so you can be liked, you missing the greater picture of really why God has called you to be who you are.
Yeah.
And the true purpose that he has for you. So tell us what you've got coming next. We've got testimony, we've got doubt, but gives the people a little bit of sneak peek of what's to come.
So, you know what I'm saying? I dropped this song, Free Me, everything. And, you know, that's been amazing. So I actually decided to kind of let that song breathe a little bit, mainly because, you know what I'm saying, it ministered to me first, like, you know, like all the songs do. But I've heard a lot of praise reports about this song, and I'm just kind of letting it be out there because I felt like the song has been very freeing for people. So I was like, let me let that breathe a little bit. Mm-hmm. So there's a song coming out next week, actually, on Friday. Yep. And it's called Armor of God.
Armor of God.
And it's kind of a very intense, you know, it's an intense type song because it's spiritual warfare is real. Yeah. You know, and people sometimes forget that we're in a battle that's spiritual, and that battle is something serious. And we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. So Armor of God is basically just telling you to suit up. Yeah. Basically for me too, just reminding myself to suit up every day. And so that song takes a kind of a twist from like the other songs. Other songs kind of have a little bit, you know, vibey, kind of smoother feel. Yeah. This one's more like, you know, like it's time to get in the action. Yeah. So we got that one coming out. And then I have a couple other songs, you know, coming out. I have a song called Slaves to Saints with my boy Juniel. Shout out to Juniel.
Okay. Juniel.
I'm trying to tell you. So, you know, people better find out that he out here, you know, he making songs, bro.
Let me find out Junie's on the beat.
So yeah. So I have a song with him, you know, called Slaves and Saints. And then soon after that I got a song called Victim coming out with Matt Pack. Shout out to Matt Pack, aka Saint Melly on all platforms.
Matt Pack coming out here. Listen, man, we've had some pretty delightful conversation here. But before we leave, I'm interested to just know, what would you say to people that are listening to your music for the first time?
I would say come into it with an open mind and heart. And I would say just try to, when you listen to it, I hope that you get an experience of the what it's like to walk as a person who's following Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And that walking with Jesus doesn't always mean that it's easy.
Yeah.
You know, I think these days, you know, a lot of people view, you know, Christians as, you know, hateful, judgmental,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people that are just coming out in the world and are very religious, you know, and all this kind of stuff. And religion is not bad. The way that you set up your life in order to set a covenant with God is not bad. But
Yeah.
from my side of music, I want to make sure that he's being praised
Mm-hmm.
throughout, but that he's also, that people hear the authenticity of the times that I'm also wrestling with God.
Yeah.
And that people see that, you know, everything. And I hope that the music is not something that just people within the church listen to. I'm hoping that this is stuff that people can resonate with, even if they're not within the church, you know, even if they're not following Jesus,
Yeah.
that they start to maybe get a taste of who Jesus is and the fullness of walking with Christ.
Yeah.
So,
Man, I'm excited. Sitting here with Nick Tucker, period,
chill.
period, no, stop, man. Every time I see the period, I'm like, period, period,
You crazy.
period, period,
I'm about to hop on a remix with her. I'm just kidding.
Man, don't you do
I'm just
it.
kidding. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to sell out.
Do it. That's
I'm
so
not gonna sell out.
fleshy. That's so
That's what I'm saying. Can't do it.
That's so fleshy. Listen, man, 30 seconds real quick. I want you to go ahead, tell the people what they need to look out for, and just tell them, hey, you got some heat. Give them 30 seconds right now.
This is what I'm going to say, and you're hearing it. You're hearing it here first. I got a tape coming out in 2023. Okay? So you're going to see these singles come out. And they're going to come out pretty regularly and consistently. Not all of them are going to be on the tape, but be on the lookout for the tape. Early 2023, it's going to be a tape called Dear Abba. Abba meaning father. That's the, you know, the Hebrew word for father, you know, for God. And it's going to be a tape. Me, kind of like Psalms that David wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Lavishing my love upon the Father, talking about when I'm struggling with stuff, and basically just being authentic before him and everything. So I'm excited for that album because I feel like that's going to help people, you know, definitely meet God in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just hear just an authentic representation of what it's like, you know, on the daily, you know, saying to live out this faith thing.
Sounds good, man.
So
listen,
be on the lookout.
Listen, Nick Tucker, period. I
You
won't even gonna do it, man. Nick Tucker, period. Got some heat out there. Testimony, doubt, free me, man. Listen, that's 3 right there. You said we got another one coming out next week. Coming out next week. Y'all need to tune in, man. All platforms. Make sure you search Nick Tucker, period. All platforms.
Come on.
Y'all stay tuned to the music. And with that, talk to y'all soon.
My brother. Y'all be easy.